You close your eyes, but sleep doesn't come. You turn left, you turn right, you check the clock, it's midnight. Then suddenly, it's 2 in the morning. Does that sound familiar? I have seen this with so many of my elderly patients. They tell me, "Doctor, my body feels tired, but my brain just won't stop." And by the time sleep finally arrives, the night is almost over. The next morning, the struggle begins again. You wake up with heavy eyes. The body feels weak. The mind feels cloudy. You forget small things. You become irritated with your children or your spouse. Sometimes, you even feel dizzy when you stand up. And let me tell you, that is not just annoying. It is dangerous. Poor sleep in the elderly increases the risk of falls, high blood pressure, even stroke. But here is the truth. You have worked all your life. You have raised your children. You have carried responsibilities on your shoulders. At this age, you deserve peace. You deserve to lie down, close your eyes, and drift into gentle, natural sleep. The good news is this. Sleep is not only in the hands of medicine. There are natural ways, 7 simple ways, that can help you sleep deeply again. No side effects, no fear of addiction, and in today's talk, I will walk you through them, step by step, like I do with my own patients. And I will even share with you a real story of a woman who thought she would never sleep without pills again, but today, she rests like a child. So, stay with me until the end. You may discover the key to your own peaceful nights. And if you find my words meaningful, don't forget to register for the channel. Click like, so more people can see this. And share your thoughts in the comments, because your story may inspire someone else tonight. Way 1. Keep a consistent sleep schedule. Let me begin with something so simple, but so often ignored. A consistent sleep schedule. You see, your body has a clock. We call it the biological clock. It tells you when to wake up, when to feel hungry, and when to feel sleepy. But if you keep changing the time you go to bed, your clock gets confused. One night you sleep at 9. The next night, at midnight. Another night, maybe 2 in the morning. How can the body know when it's supposed to rest? I once had a patient. She was 70 years old. Every night, she said, "Doctor, I'll just go to bed when I feel sleepy." But the problem was, she never felt sleepy. So she would watch television until midnight. Sometimes she even fell asleep in the chair, then woke up and moved to the bed at 2 in the morning. Of course, by sunrise, her body was exhausted. And yet, at 10 o'clock the next morning, she felt sleepy again, so she would take a long nap. And the cycle repeated itself. I told her, gently, you need to retrain your clock. So I asked her to do something very simple. Go to bed at exactly 10 o'clock every night. And wake up at 6 in the morning. No matter how tired, no matter how awake, follow the same hours. The first week was hard. She lay in bed at 10 and said, "Doctor, my eyes are wide open." But I told her, stay calm, your body is learning again. By the second week, something beautiful happened. Her body began to prepare itself for sleep at 10 o'clock. Her eyelids grew heavy at the right time. And in the morning, she opened her eyes naturally without an alarm. Consistency is powerful. It's like training a child. If you tell the child, go to bed whenever you want, they will run wild. But if you say, 10 o'clock, lights out, the child learns. Your body is no different. So remember this. Even if you do nothing else, keep a regular bedtime and wake up time. That one change alone can transform your nights. Way 2. Create a sleep-friendly bedroom. Now, let's talk about the bedroom itself. Where you sleep matters. Your bedroom should be like a gentle nest. Quiet, cool, dark. But so many elderly homes I visit, the bedroom is filled with noise. A ticking clock, the bright glow of a TV, or worse, the flashing light of a mobile phone. These things are enemies of sleep. Why? Because your brain is sensitive to light. Even a small beam tells the brain it is daytime. And if the brain thinks it's daytime, it refuses to make melatonin, the sleep hormone. So here is my advice. Turn off the television at least 1 hour before bed. Keep your phone out of reach. Use curtains to block outside light. And if you need, wear a soft eye mask. And temperature matters too. A room that is slightly cool, around 20 degrees Celsius, helps the body relax. When your body temperature drops a little, your brain gets the message. It is time to rest. Some of my patients also use gentle aids. A drop of lavender oil on the pillow. Or a quiet white noise machine. That sounds like soft rain. These are not medicines, but they soothe the senses. Imagine, you walk into your bedroom, the air is cool, the lights are dim, there is the faint smell of lavender, and a soft hush. Like waves in the distance. Tell me, would your body not melt into sleep? Your bedroom is not just four walls. It is your sanctuary. Treat it that way. Way 3. Light exercise during the day. The third way is movement. And I know what you may be thinking. Doctor, I'm too old to exercise. But I'm not asking you to run a marathon. Just light activity. Walking, stretching, Tai Chi in the morning sun. Gentle yoga for the joints. Here's why it matters. When you move your body during the day, you burn energy. Your muscles work. Your heart pumps. And by night, the body is ready to recover. That recovery comes through sleep. One of my favorite patients was 72 years old. He complained to me, "Doctor, I don't sleep. I lie in bed wide awake." So I asked him, "Tell me about your day." He said, "Well, I sit on the porch. I read the newspaper. I take a nap after lunch." No wonder he couldn't sleep. The body was never tired enough. I suggested he take a 20-minute walk every afternoon. Just around the block. Nothing heavy. Just walking, greeting neighbors, letting the legs move. At first, he resisted. He said, "Doctor, what good can a short walk do?" But after 1 week, he smiled at me. "Doctor, I slept better last night. I even dreamed for the first time in months." Exercise is medicine, but it doesn't come in a pill. It comes in the form of simple movement. And the best part? It not only improves sleep. It strengthens the heart. It protects the bones. And it lifts the mood. So if you want better sleep tonight, move your body today. Way 4. Evening rituals to relax the mind. Now let me share something very close to my heart. Evening rituals. Do you know why children fall asleep easily after a bedtime story? Because their brain has learned the signal. Storytime means sleep is near. Adults are no different. We need signals. Rituals that whisper to the brain, it is time to rest. That ritual can be a warm bath. The water soothes the muscles, the skin relaxes, the body cools slightly afterwards. Perfect preparation for sleep. Or maybe gentle stretching. 5 minutes of moving the shoulders. Bending the spine. Loosening the joints. It tells the body, we are winding down. Some of my patients put on soft music. A slow piano piece. Or the sound of waves. Others read a calming book, not the news. Not politics. Not something that excites the mind. But perhaps a spiritual reflection. Or a simple story. And here is something important. Avoid stressful conversations at night. How many couples argue in bed? How many families discuss problems just before sleep? That is poison to the mind. Sleep cannot come after anger. So build your own ritual. 15 minutes every evening. Bath, stretch, music, or prayer. Whatever soothes you. Repeat it every night. Soon, your brain will understand. This is the doorway to sleep. Way 5. Mindful breathing and relaxation. Now, perhaps you say, "Doctor, my body is ready, but my mind is restless." I hear this often. The thoughts keep running. What happened today? What may happen tomorrow? Memories, worries, regrets? For this, I teach my patients mindful breathing. It is simple, but powerful. Lie down. Close your eyes. Place one hand on your stomach. Now breathe in, slowly, for 4 seconds. Feel your belly rise. Hold that breath for 4 seconds. Then release it, gently, over 6 seconds. Feel the belly sink. This is called the 4-4-6 method. Repeat it 10 times. By the 5th breath, your heart slows. Your blood pressure falls. Your muscles begin to loosen. Some of my patients combine this with a prayer. Others with a gentle word, like peace or calm. The key is, you're pulling the mind away from racing thoughts and anchoring it in the rhythm of breath. I once had a patient who said, "Doctor, my mind never stops at night." I taught him this technique. 2 weeks later, he said, "Doctor, I fall asleep before I even finish 10 breaths." Breathing is free. It is always with you. And it can be the bridge to peaceful sleep. Way 6. Eat light and smart in the evening. Now let's step into the kitchen. Because what you eat at night can decide whether you sleep well. Too many elderly eat heavy dinners. Rice, meat, fried foods, sometimes even a late-night snack. The stomach stays busy all night. How can the brain rest if the body is still digesting? So here is my advice. Eat light in the evening. Stop at least 2 hours before bed. And be careful with caffeine. Coffee, tea, even chocolate. They keep the brain alert. Many people say, "Doctor, tea doesn't affect me." But trust me, it does. It makes the sleep shallow. Alcohol is another trap. Some think a small drink helps them fall asleep. Yes, maybe, but the sleep will be broken, restless, and full of awakenings. So what should you eat instead? I recommend warm milk. It has tryptophan, an amino acid that helps the brain make melatonin. Or a cup of chamomile tea. Gentle, calming, safe. Or even a banana, rich in magnesium, which relaxes muscles. One of my patients began drinking warm milk every evening. At first, he laughed. "Doctor, am I a child again?" But after 2 weeks, he said, "Doctor, this child finally sleeps like a baby." Food is not just fuel. It is medicine, when chosen wisely. Way 7. Natural light and sun exposure. Finally, let us step outside. Into the sunlight. Why sunlight? Because your body's sleep hormone, melatonin, is guided by light. In the morning, when your eyes see sunlight, the brain says, "Wake up. Make energy." At night, in darkness, the brain says, "Now make melatonin. Prepare for sleep." But many elderly spend their whole day indoors. Curtains closed, lights on. The body never gets the message. The clock becomes confused. So I tell my patients, step outside for 20 minutes every morning. Sit on the porch, walk in the garden, or simply let the sun touch your face. I had one woman who suffered insomnia for years. Every morning, she started her day with television. The curtains stayed closed. Her body forgot the rhythm of day and night. I asked her to open the curtains. Drink her tea outside. Feel the morning light. She obeyed. After 2 weeks, she came back with tears. "Doctor, I sleep again. I wake up with the sun. I feel alive." Sunlight is free. It is the oldest medicine. And it still works today. Now you may be wondering, "Doctor, why do these 7 ways actually work? Why does sunlight, or a glass of warm milk, or breathing slowly, make such a difference?" The answer lies in something very small. A hormone, called melatonin. Melatonin is your body's natural sleep signal. When the sun sets, and the world becomes dark, your brain begins to release melatonin. It's like a whisper. Time to rest, time to sleep. Your eyelids grow heavy, your muscles relax, and you drift into slumber. But as we grow older, something changes. The body does not make melatonin as well as before. At 60, 70, 80 years old, the signal becomes weaker. So instead of drifting into sleep, you lie awake. You toss. You wait. But the message never comes. That is why so many elderly say, "Doctor, I'm tired, but my body refuses to sleep." It is not your fault. It is biology. Now here is the beauty. Those 7 natural methods we talked about, they all help your body produce and use melatonin better. They strengthen the sleep signal. When you keep a regular bedtime, your brain learns the rhythm. It prepares melatonin at the right hour. When you darken your bedroom, the brain sees no light and says, "Ah, it is night. Release melatonin." When you go out in the morning sun, the brain understands day versus night. That contrast makes melatonin stronger when evening comes. Even your food matters. Magnesium, tryptophan, these are the building blocks your brain uses to make melatonin. That's why warm milk or bananas can help. They don't knock you out. They give your brain the ingredients to make its own sleep signal. And when you breathe slowly, when you stretch gently, you calm the nervous system. Stress hormones like cortisol fall. And once cortisol falls, melatonin can rise. You see, these 7 ways are not random. They all connect. They all push your body back into its natural rhythm. Now, let us compare this with medication. Sleeping pills. Yes, they can work. They can knock you out. But that is not true sleep. That is sedation. Do you know the difference? When you are sedated, the brain is unconscious, but it does not repair itself. It does not clean waste, it does not strengthen memory, it does not heal cells. That is why people who rely on sleeping pills still wake up tired. And sometimes dizzy. And in the elderly, that dizziness leads to falls, broken bones, even hospitalization. Worse still, pills create dependence. At first, 1 tablet works. After a few months, 1 is not enough. You need 2, then 3, And when you try to stop, the insomnia comes back even stronger. I remember one gentleman, 75 years old. He said, "Doctor, I cannot sleep without my pill." He had taken them for 10 years. When I examined him, his balance was poor, his memory had declined, and he felt constantly fatigued. It was not just age. It was the long shadow of medication. Now compare that with natural methods. They take patience. Yes, they don't give results in one night. But they train your body to heal itself, to create its own melatonin, to rest without chemical force. And the results are long-lasting. When you establish these habits, the sleep becomes yours. Not borrowed from a pill. Not forced. But natural, sustainable, safe. That is the difference. Medication is like borrowing money. Quick relief. But one day you must pay it back, with interest. Natural methods are like planting seeds. At first, you water them daily. You wait. But soon, they grow into a strong tree. And every night, under its shade, you rest peacefully. So now, my friends, you understand why these 7 ways are not just tips. They are science. They are biology. And most of all, they are the gentle path to reclaiming your nights. Now, my dear friends, before we go further, I must tell you something important. Even if you practice all 7 good habits, if you also keep the bad ones, your sleep will still be broken. Yes, sometimes it is not what we add, but what we must remove. Let me share with you the most common mistakes I see among my elderly patients. Mistake 1. Long daytime naps. How many of you like to nap after lunch? I know, it feels wonderful. A full belly, a quiet house, the sofa looks so inviting. But here is the truth. If you nap too long in the day, your body uses up its sleep pressure. So at night, when you lie down, the body is no longer tired. I once had a patient, Mr. Thomas. He was 74. He told me, "Doctor, I cannot sleep at night." But when I asked about his day, I found out he napped almost 2 hours every afternoon. Of course he could not sleep at night. He was stealing sleep from himself. I advised him, nap only 20 to 30 minutes. No more. And never after 4 in the afternoon. Within 2 weeks, his nights became longer, deeper, and more peaceful. So remember, a nap is fine. But keep it short, just enough to refresh, not enough to rob your night. Mistake 2. Drinking tea or coffee late. Now let us talk about something many people deny. Caffeine. In tea, in coffee, even in chocolate. I often hear, "Doctor, I drink tea at dinner, but it does not affect me." Oh, my friends, it does. Caffeine is a stimulant. It blocks the chemical in your brain that makes you feel sleepy. You may still close your eyes, but your sleep will be shallow. You will wake easily, and you will never reach that deep, healing rest. One woman, 70 years old, said, "Doctor, I fall asleep fine, but I wake up every 2 hours." I asked her gently, "What do you drink after dinner?" She smiled, "Just green tea. It relaxes me." But green tea is full of caffeine. I asked her to stop. Replace it with warm water, or chamomile tea. In 1 week, her sleep stopped breaking apart. So please, no tea. No coffee after 2 in the afternoon. Even if you think it does not affect you, your body tells a different story. Mistake 3. Watching TV or scrolling the phone before bed. Now, this is the mistake I see most often today. Screens, television, phones, tablets. The bright light from these screens tells your brain it is still daytime. And if your brain believes it is day, how can it make melatonin? I remember visiting an elderly couple. At 11 at night, they were still watching the news on TV. The bright light filled the room. Both were tense, arguing about politics. No wonder they could not sleep. Another man scrolled his phone every night in bed, checking messages, reading articles. He thought it was harmless. But his sleep was shallow, broken. When I asked him to put the phone away 1 hour before bed, he laughed. But 2 weeks later, he came back and said, "Doctor, it works. I finally sleep." So hear me well. Your bedroom is not a movie theater. It is not a phone booth. It is a sanctuary for rest. Let the screens rest too. Mistake 4. Forcing yourself to sleep. And here is a surprising one. Forcing yourself to sleep. Have you ever said, "I must sleep now, or tomorrow I will be ruined"? And then you lie in bed, heart beating faster, frustration rising. The more you force, the less you sleep. Because anxiety kills rest. I tell my patients, if you cannot sleep after 20 minutes, get up. Do not torture yourself. Sit in a chair. Read something gentle. Listen to soft music. Breathe slowly. Then, when your eyes grow heavy, return to bed. One of my patients, Mrs. Ellen, used to cry in bed. Every night, she repeated to herself, sleep, sleep, sleep. But of course, sleep never came. When she learned to let go, to get up and return calmly later, her nights changed completely. Sleep is like a cat. If you chase it, it runs away. If you sit quietly, it comes and curls beside you. The reminder. So, my friends, these mistakes may seem small. A nap here, a cup of tea there, a little television before bed, a little pressure on yourself. But together, they destroy the fragile bridge to sleep. The good news is this. If you correct even 2 or 3 of these mistakes, your sleep can improve dramatically. Sometimes it is not about doing more. It is about doing less. Less caffeine, less screen time, less forcing, simple corrections, but powerful results. Let me tell you about one of my patients. Her name was Mary. She was 68 years old. When she first came to me, she looked exhausted. Her eyes were dark, her steps were slow, and her voice was heavy with sadness. She said, "Doctor, I haven't slept well in 10 years. At first, she tried simple things, drinking warm tea, listening to the radio, but nothing worked. So one night, she went to another doctor. He gave her sleeping pills. And yes, at the beginning, they worked. She took 1 pill, and she slept. She thought her nightmare was finally over. But slowly, the pills stopped working. 1 pill became 2, 2 became 3. And still, she could not rest. Worse than that, the side effects began. She felt dizzy in the mornings. Her memory was slipping. And one terrible day, she stood up from bed and fell. She broke her wrist. When she came to see me, she whispered, "Doctor, I am afraid. I cannot live without the pills. But the pills are destroying me." I looked at her gently. And I said, "Mary, it's time to walk a different path. A natural path. No fear. No chains." We began step by step. First, I asked her to keep a strict bedtime. Every night, 10 o'clock, even if she was not sleepy. She tried. Then I asked her to spend her mornings outside. Just 15 minutes of sunshine. She sat on her porch, wrapped in a blanket, letting the light touch her face. She also stopped her long afternoon naps and replaced her evening tea with warm milk. At first, she doubted. She said, "Doctor, how can something so simple fix a problem so big?" I told her, "Trust your body. It remembers. It just needs guidance." The first week was hard. She still reached for the pill. But I asked her to cut the dose in half. 2 weeks later, her face looked different. Her eyes were brighter. Her steps were lighter. She smiled and said, "Doctor, I only take half a pill now. And sometimes, I even forget." By the end of the month, she no longer needed them. She was sleeping 6, sometimes 7 hours. Naturally, peacefully. One morning she came into my clinic. And she held my hand. Her voice shook as she said, "Doctor, I feel like I got my life back." And truly, she had. Because sleep is not just about closing the eyes. It is about healing, about memory, about joy. Without sleep, life feels half alive. But with sleep, life returns. So what is the lesson from Mary's story? That pills may offer quick relief, but they also steal your freedom. Natural methods may feel slow, but they give back control. They give you safety. They give you hope. Mary's journey proves this. No matter how long you have struggled, it is never too late. With patience and small changes, your body can still remember the gift of sleep. And when you finally wake after a full night, refreshed, strong, clear-minded, you will understand what Mary meant when she said, "I feel like I got my life back." My dear friends, we have walked together through a long conversation today. From the pain of insomnia to the 7 natural ways of healing sleep. And before we part, let me remind you of one truth. You have spent your whole life working, caring, giving. Now, in this stage of life, you deserve rest, deep rest, peaceful rest, rest without fear. Let's recap together. The 7 natural ways to invite back your sleep. First, keep a steady schedule. Sleep and wake up at the same times. Your body loves rhythm. Second, make your bedroom friendly, quiet, cool, Dark. A place only for sleep, not for worry. Third, move your body during the day. Walk, stretch, breathe. Activity by day brings peace by night. Fourth, create evening rituals. A warm bath, gentle music, a good book. These tell your brain, it is time to rest. Fifth, calm the mind with breathing. Slow inhales, long exhales, even prayer, if you wish. Let go of the weight in your chest. Sixth, eat light and smart in the evening. No heavy meals, no late coffee. Instead, warm milk, bananas, chamomile. Food can be medicine, if you choose wisely. And seventh, welcome the sun. Spend 20 minutes in morning light. Let nature reset your clock. So when night comes, your body knows it is time. These are not magic tricks. They are gentle reminders, simple steps, but when practiced, they work. So tonight, don't feel pressured to try them all. Just choose one. Maybe you dim the lights earlier. Maybe you turn off the television. Maybe you drink a cup of warm milk instead of tea. Just one. And tomorrow night, another. Little by little, your body will remember how to rest. And when you wake after a night of good sleep, you will whisper to yourself, "Ah, this is what peace feels like." My friends, sleep is a gift. And the best gifts in life are natural, free, and waiting within us. You only need to open the door. Now, before we end, I want to hear from you. Have you tried any of these 7 ways? What has worked for you? What has been hardest? Please, share your stories in the comments. Your words may help another person tonight. And if today's talk has been useful, I invite you kindly, subscribe to this channel. Click like, and share this video with someone you love. Because who knows, maybe your friend, your sister, your father is also struggling in silence with sleep. Together, we can spread comfort. Together, we can bring rest back to many homes. And don't forget, in the next video, I will share about another secret enemy of sleep. Nighttime urination. Yes, so many of my patients tell me, "Doctor, I wake up 3-4 times at night to go to the toilet. I cannot sleep again." We will talk about the foods, the habits, that can reduce this problem. So stay with me. Until then, I wish you tonight a soft pillow, a calm mind, and a deep, healing sleep. Good night, my dear friends. And remember, you deserve rest.